I want to make more money in my sleep. I'll be the first millionaire in my family. I'll have a six-figure month. I just want to be able to take a vacation whenever I want. At some point in time, especially in the personal development space, you've at least heard these, if not said them yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But how do you successfully build diversified income streams? In today's episode, we're going to talk about the way to make it happen and the pitfalls that most people fall into in their pursuit of a financial empire. This is the Your Money, Your Life podcast where ambitious women come together to have clarity, prosperity, and confidence with their money without sacrificing precious time or well-deserved fun. So let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. We are talking about successfully building diversified income streams. This is probably something that you've heard about before, but how does this actually happen, right? Let's just dive into it. Because there's a lot of different factors here that play in. So the first thing to be aware of is your income streams don't have to be even across the board. Sometimes we discount things because we don't make a lot from them, and you can have different levels of returns, and the smaller ones shouldn't be ignored. Sometimes those smaller income streams are actually more consistent and you can count on them more than some of the larger ones that fluctuate in a bigger way. I know actually, for example, Operation Underground Railroad, if you've made a purchase from our company here, you have helped support them in their fight against child sex trafficking. But I have heard I've heard their founder speak several times, and they've talked about that they are able to make the most progress, not necessarily with the big one-time donations because they can't count on it ongoing. Their monthly commitment makes that having the monthly consistent income, even though it's a smaller amount, is how they're able to fund so many of their operations, not the bigger income streams. So this applies whether you're building a personal financial empire or you're running a massive organization fighting evil, right? Again, next kind of point here we need to talk about is you don't have to do what everyone else does. And frankly, the herd mentality, what everyone else is most often doing, probably they're following the media. And there's the banking industry has an agenda as well. And, they have an agenda that they want to be profits. They want the profit. So if it's what everyone else is doing, might not be a good idea. Definitely don't do it just because everyone else is doing that. We've seen that a lot. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency in a minute, but even Elon Musk will tweet out something about a certain cryptocurrency, and then everyone goes and follows it because it's Elon Musk that's saying that. And sometimes I think he just does it because he can do it, and that's the type of character he has. But the point is, we shouldn't be doing things just because everyone else is doing them. Actually, even the banking agenda now, their profits, that's the whole reason why we have house loans now. House loans didn't used to be a thing. And I know you can't even imagine being able to pay cash for a house right now with inflation and everything, the way they've created this economy with our fiat currency and all those things. But the agenda that the banking industry has with their fractional reserve banking, that is why we have house loans now. Next kind of point is kind of goes along with the smaller income streams. Don't ignore them, don't discount them. But let's talk about boring investments. Boring investments can be good. It doesn't have to be exciting and exotic. I'll tell you, one of my most consistent returns, growth, and investments is actually one of my life insurance policies. It's not exciting. It is a guaranteed whole life plan. We can talk about life insurance another day. It's actually a really neat plan that State Farm offers. So it's paid for in 20 years, but like the cash value continues to grow. So then like when I pass it off to my children, it's a paid for policy. I really love it. Have one on myself and my oldest son. And like when you look at the growth of investments, the one is the most consistent, most stable is the boring life insurance policy, right? Doesn't all have to be exciting and exotic, but something that's exciting and exotic right now is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency can be a smart investment if you're doing it correctly. We talk about this inside the academy. We have a whole module where we dive into cryptocurrency and, what I've seen to be effective, what we've learned. Of course, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just providing you the information so that you can make an educated decision for yourself. And I think that is probably the most powerful thing that you can do because your finances are specific to you. And while we're talking about financial advisors, kind of brings us to the topic of retirement, right? Because, a lot of financial advisors are helping you build your portfolio so you're set for retirement and et cetera. But the idea of retirement in itself isn't tested. This is a modern idea. Again, something that we came up with less than 100 years old. Social Security and Medicare as well. They have not been around for longer than 100 years. 100 years is not that long. They have not been tested. There was a pull to get people into factories in the industrial age. And that was really where these ideas came from. We're not even in the industrial age anymore. It's just things that I wouldn't count on. And the idea of retirement in the way that like has been structured. I'm not saying that you can't retire. You definitely can retire. But I do find we can talk probably a whole episode on retirement, but there is something to be said about continuing to pursue what you're passionate about. You should be able to retire from the things that you don't want to do. And then that's an income thing. That's not an age thing. And when you retire from the things that you don't want to do, you have time to pursue those passions and those interests that you do have. But regardless, just when we're talking about diversified income streams, I know so many are working towards, like that dream, retire at the age of 65, et cetera. And it's just something to be aware of because the idea of retirement has not been tested. And I don't want you to work towards this whole thing just to find out that the game's changed. That's not actually how things work now. Then we've kind of talked about cryptocurrency. We talked a little bit about the economy. And next point here, your income streams need to be diversified beyond the US dollar. A lot of times when I'm talking with people, clients, et cetera, and they'll say like, okay, yeah, we're investing in the stock market and 401k, retirement plans, et cetera, all those things. We need to be investing in other places because that's still all the US dollar. Yes, as of right now, the US dollar still holds the world economy. But with the US dollar now being a fiat currency, there is more fluctuation, all of those things in there that can be manipulated. We need to have income streams beyond the US dollar. And this isn't just trading in Forex. If anybody is listening and doing that, there are other ways to diversify. And again, we talk about this all inside the academy on how to be smart with your investing and really having that well-rounded, diversified income stream, not only for building financial wealth, but also creating that financial security that I know that we're all looking for. There's a lot that I just ran through, right? And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. You have to start, and you have to start somewhere. So if you're like, I can handle starting in the stock market with $25. That is honestly what I did when I first started investing in the stock market, et cetera. Those type of investments. I was like, it scares the crap out of me. I'm terrified of investing. I'm terrified of I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And because I didn't know what I was doing, I knew I had to start, and I had to start somewhere. So I started with $25 in a Fidelity account. You can do the same thing. You have to start, and you have to start somewhere. Don't continue putting it off, delaying out of fear. Just take that action. Take action in a way that, if something happens and you do lose, because that is a possibility, especially when it comes to investments, it's not the end of the world. And we talk about that on the income that you are actually investing. But having that diversified income is a way to greatly magnify your income. It is so important. It's vital to be able to actually do these things. So let's quickly recap. We talked about several different things, right? That our income streams don't have to be even across the board. You can have different levels of returns. There's nothing wrong with having smaller levels of returns from certain places. We talked about not following the herd, just doing what everybody else is doing because, media, others have their agendas that can be manipulating those things. It's not always the best thing just because the herd's doing it. We talked about that boring investments can be good. It doesn't have to all be exciting and exotic, but that exciting popular cryptocurrency can be a smart investment if you do it correctly. We talked about the fact that retirement isn't a time-tested idea. It's a modern idea. It's been around less than 100 years. We talked about diversifying our income past the US dollar, not just in the stock market, etc. But most importantly, we talked about starting now, starting somewhere. Don't put it off. Don't delay it out of fear, because you want to successfully build those diversified income streams. And I know that you can do it. So your challenge for today, I want to hear which one of these ideas stood out to you the most, that you needed to hear. Like, that really resonated for me, Aimee. I needed that. Thank you for saying that out loud. So I feel so much better now hearing that. Send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Aimee Cerka. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.